Hi guys, it's Michelle with DeceptionBytes, and I'm carrying on with the Q posts. I should have probably posted yesterday, but I did have a medical emergency yesterday that had to be attended to. Everything's fine, I'm okay, but that's why I didn't get to this before now. So, and also thank you. I noticed that a few people sent me some money to my PayPal account for coffee, and I was really overwhelmed. I mean, I love you guys. You're awesome. So I appreciated that. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. And let's pick up from where I left off the last time. And that's right here. Now, an anonymous user on 8chan posted this. And this was posted yesterday. And it said, I have posted this so many times. Tomorrow is Freedom Day. Q posted a flag named Freedom, and timing is everything. Tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is today, and today is Freedom Day. And because Abraham Lincoln signing the 13th Amendment outlawing slavery on February 1st, 1865, February 1st was chosen as a day for National Freedom Day. On June 30th, 1948, President Harry Truman signed a bill proclaiming February 1st as the first official National Freedom Day in the United States. So that is what this poster is referring to. And Q responds with a kind of a little bit of a cryptic post here. He says, Day of Days, but if you read in the capitals in the square brackets, it's in just the capitals because F is not capitalized. It's DOD. And I would say that that is the best interpretation of that. And of course, DOD stands for Department of Defense. Now, what he is alluding to here, I'm not sure. Could be the Nunes memo, but to me, he's definitely referring to the DOD. So, in response to her comments about it being Freedom Day. Now, I do think that they expected to have have that memo released today, and I think it was held up. That's what I personally think. And I think that that's probably due to Adam Schiff, who's probably shifting his pants right now. That's what I would think. I would think that he probably thought it would be Freedom Day because that would be released. But I don't know. That's just me. And there could be another interpretation, and I fully accept that. So let's go up to the next one. Now, the next anonymous poster on 8chan says, POTUS speech was inspiring. And by the way, yes, it was. I hope that you all were able to catch it. I think probably most people did. I thought it was an amazing speech. He just really blew me away. It was so good. It was one of the best speeches I've ever heard in my life, and I am very critical of things like that. But I thought it was amazing. And then in going and listening to what the Democrats had to say, I was thinking, were you guys listening to the same speech? And I noticed just some of their faces and the expressions that they were making, and I thought, and they wouldn't stand to clap. Like, black unemployment, the lowest it's ever been, ever, and some of the Democrats wouldn't stand for that. Like, I don't get that. I really don't get that. But anyway, I think it was childish, and well, actually, I think it was infantile. But anyway, let's continue on. Oh, sorry. I get talking away and forget what I'm doing. Okay, POTUS speech was inspiring, and yes, it was. Now, Q responds and says, timing is everything. Did you miss the most important line of the entire speech? Activation code, Q. Now, what he means by that activation code is going to be explained in a later post, so I'm not even going to go into it here. I'm just going to wait till we get to the post where he explains it. So hang on. Okay, here we go up here. And the next anonymous poster on 8chan says, I heard a reference to federal employees who commit crimes. Was listening for so many coded messages. Great speech. Loved the part about the Capitol Dome. Now, this is Q responding to this person. We can tell because he's using these, and it matches the number on this post. And he puts an exclamation mark and Q. So I have the benefit of knowing what was posted after this, so I'll go ahead and say to you that exclamation mark is kind of like, well, you're there, but you're close, but you haven't quite got it yet. But you're close. That's how I interpret that, and I'll tell you why. Because in the next post, see all the exclamation marks we get? And this person gives the exact quote from the speech. And they say, I call on the Congress to empower every cabinet secretary with the authority to reward good workers and to remove federal employees who undermine the public trust or fail the American people. And then this anonymous poster says, this? So they're asking Q, is this what you mean? Is this what you're referring to? And then Q responds, because the other person had it, but they didn't have the exact wording. Then the Q responds with all these exclamation marks, like, yeah, you got it, that's it. So that's what he's alluding to, that this was a code. It was an activation code. It was giving them power to an authority to reward the good workers and to remove those that undermine the public trust or fail the American people. So he was empowering the Congress to be able to do that. And so that's why he's saying that it was an activation code. So that's good news. Now we're getting into some interesting stuff, and it just gets more interesting from here. TikTok Q. Now this is an anonymous poster on 8chan, again. And he's directing this to Q. TikTok Q. Was the train incident a false flag today? What do you guys think? I know what I think. I don't see. There is just no way that's a coincidence. No way. What are the odds that a train carrying 200 members of the Democratic or the Republican Party is going to be hit by a garbage truck? But we're going to get more into that. So, Q responds, and he says, do you believe in coincidences? And of course, Q has said over and over again that there are no coincidences when it comes to this stuff. So no, we don't believe it in coincidences. We don't believe that was a coincidence. And then he says, expect more. And what he's saying is expect more, quote, incidents. And then he signs off, as he usually does, Q. Now, let's take a look at this that will give us a little bit of insight into this train, the mysterious train. And by the way, I have found out that that garbage truck was had a GPS device on it which could be activated remotely. So I need to do some more work and have that absolutely verified, but that's what it seems is true. Okay. Confirmed. The congressmen aboard the train were supposed to be in session. They were not supposed to be headed to a resort that doubles as a doomsday COG. COG. Boy, that acronym sounds so familiar. Facility. However, I know you guys are so helpful, and somebody's going to give me the answer to this, which I'm having a little bit of a brain fade here. I cannot remember what that means, but if somebody leaves the answer, please don't, like 200 people leave the same thing, because when I asked, I don't know what it was that I asked, but it literally about 200 people gave me the answer, and which is great. It shows how helpful everyone is, but anyway. Okay, so Adding to the credibility of the theory they were fleeing a threat is the fact that they had family members aboard the train. Including children that should have been in school. Overwhelmingly probable they received death threats over the memo and were heading to a safe place when they were stopped by a staged accident. That happens to be what I believe, too. Not that I'm the only one that believes that, but I'm just saying that's what I believe. Update confirmed. They did not turn back. They continued on to the safe facility in buses, including the injured. That there alone says it all. Here's the story, which is all now 100% confirmed. And this is from the website Operation Deep State, which I do tend to look at quite a bit. A majority of Republican congressmen who voted to release the FISA memo, which exposes an enormous amount of deep state corruption, were on an escorted train when they were supposed to be in session, with all roads closed ahead of the train for security reasons, and the train receiving helicopter escort. Wow. Despite all the roads being closed, the train hit a garbage truck while going 70 miles per hour. The front wheels of the front engine derailed, but the rear wheels stayed on the track. With all the roads closed for security reason, the only way the garbage truck could have gotten in the way of the train would be if it was done intentionally. Even some congressmen are now saying the accident had to have been staged and that it was an attempt to kill a large number of congressmen who voted to release the memo. Large numbers of deaths would have occurred if the train did derail, as planned, but with the will of God, it mostly stayed on the tracks and none of the cars or engines tipped over. If that had happened at 70 miles per hour, the results would have been devastating. Now, honestly, I do believe that God intervened in this, and I know not everyone that listens to me believes, and I want to be respectful of you as well, but that is what I believe. My personal belief is that they were spared, and it's unbelievable. Like, it gives me chills. It really does. Heads up, rogue factions in the United States government are attempting a violent coup with plausible deniability. Fortunately, only minor injuries happened, but having this end up being minor defies all probability. It was supposed to be a disaster, and it was definitely without question not an accident. Sorry, I was thinking about something else while I was reading that, and that's why my lips get ahead of my brain, and because I was thinking that I had some extra information on this on another page. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read this, though. Blockbuster update. It is now confirmed that this was an assassination attempt on members of Congress. All the roads were shut down ahead of the train, which had helicopter escort. There's no way the garbage truck could have been where it was, absent an outright attempt to get in front of the train. Choppers were following the train, and the railroad crossings were supposed to be shut down for the senators to have priority, per Rachel Campos Duffy, wife of Sean Duffy, a Republican, Wisconsin, on Fox. This is now a confirmed hit on Republican senators who voted to release the memo. The photos of the accident scene are a little misleading. The train, in fact, hit the dump truck at the prior crossing and carried it to the next crossing. The train did not just stop on a dime. Chartered trainload of Republican senators and representatives had an accident. Everyone suspected there would be a false flag, and boom, we just had it. Sessions has announced he thinks the collision was coordinated and not an accident. Most likely the train was sent into the truck that had been hijacked via remote and driven with precision straight into the train's path. Update. It is now confirmed the train did not hit the brakes, which means they were probably disabled via remote. Interesting. It now appears that 2 trucks were involved. The initial hit was an 18-wheeler, and the second hit was a dump truck at a different crossing. That is why the dump truck is close to where the train stopped. This still needs confirmation, but it's the only thing that matches reports. Senators are saying that there were 2 impacts, and they are reporting the big hit was a semi. 2 separate trucks is not yet confirmed. Update. The people on the train were those who voted to release the memo. Boy, surprise, surprise, surprise. The attack was, sort of, a failure. It is obvious the deep state wanted a 70-mile-per-hour derailment so the cars would flip and kill people. That did not happen. The train stayed on the tracks. Update. People are speculating that the truck was electronically hijacked and shut off when it was on the tracks. I'd say that is highly plausible. Here's how that would be done. The train's location and speed is known. All the garbage trucks have chips in them to let central management know where they are. So the speed of that train and the velocity of the truck was matched via remote to create a collision where it looked like the truck driver was trying to beat the train. He's dead and can't speak up. Case closed. Update. Now confirmed. The train was going 70 miles per hour and the obvious goal was to get it to flip and kill everyone. That did not happen. It stayed on the tracks. Everyone was thrown from their seats, and there are mixed reports about injuries. People who were on the train are tweeting that many people got head injuries because the impact was severe and that one has a broken leg. Rumor that the train engineer is dead. Confirmed the truck driver is dead. That way, he can't talk. This is an obvious setup. The train hit a very heavy truck. Since it was a fleet vehicle, it overwhelmingly probably had a tracking chip, and anything less than 14 years old can now be controlled via remote. Obvious, after Trump's State of the Union address and memo release, a hit was put out on the Republican lawmakers, and someone sent the Amtrak they were on into a truck in an effort to kill as many as possible, all at once. They were on their way to a retreat on a specially chartered Amtrak, all in one place at the same time, and someone made an attempt to kill as many as possible. I am gathering details now. Now, obviously, this has been written, and this person has kept adding things as they gained more intel, so that's why it seems so disjointed. Folks, this is an obvious setup. There's no way such an event happened by accident with such perfect timing. This is an obvious setup. Someone wanted as many Republican lawmakers taken out of commission as possible, all with plausible deniability, and I'd agree. Let me just see if there's anything else. And Jeff Sessions has announced he thinks the collision was coordinated and not an accident. I think that's pretty obvious to mostly everyone except for perhaps the sheep that are listening to mainstream media news. It's obvious that Trump's life is in danger. They had better release that damn memo now. This is not something to play games with. Now, this is a picture of the dump truck. It's actually not at the accident scene, but that is, and the name of the disposal company is called Time Disposal. Isn't that interesting? So, now, I'm going to just, if you would just give me a second here, I want to go out because I thought I had another picture of this garbage truck. And perhaps I don't. So how do you like that? I don't like it very much. Well, I don't know what I did with it. Okay, I had a better close-up picture of that, but I'm looking at too many things and having too many irons in the fire, I believe. All right, so there's that, and I don't for a second believe that was an accident. I mean, come on. Yeah. Anyway, let's move ahead. Now, after that, an anonymous user on the 8chan posts POTUS on, quote, terrorists and Guantanamo Bay. And, quote, let's be clear, ... enemy combatants, end quote. And his actual words, I went out and found his actual words, were terrorists who do things like place bombs in civilian hospitals are evil. When possible, we annihilate them. When necessary, we must be able to detain and question them. But we must be clear. Terrorists are not merely criminals. They are unlawful enemy combatants. Now, well, let me go ahead and read this because this is Q's response to this. Q responds to this person and says, reread executive orders put together, Q. So, first of all, let's look at this. Unlawful enemy combatants. Now, those of you, I know that some of you that listen are in the military, and you probably know what that means right away. But those of us that are not in the military and have no background that way, we don't have that privilege. So anyway, the term unlawful enemy combatant means a person who is engaged in hostilities or who has purposefully and materially supported hostilities against the United States or its co-belligerents, who is not a lawful enemy combatant, including a person who is part of the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, or associated forces. Now, obviously we all know what an enemy combatant is, but what is an unlawful enemy combatant? Aren't all enemy combatants unlawful? Well, no, actually they're not, because if we go to war if we're at war with a country, and they're shooting at us, that's not an unlawful enemy combatant because we're at war with them. So we expect that. At least that's how I read this. But if you're just a terrorist and you're just, trying to blow up people, that's an unlawful enemy combatant just because it is, all right? I wish I had a military person here to explain this, but I think you all get it. And also, a person who, before, on, or after the date of enactment of the Military Commissions Act of 2006, has been determined to be an unlawful enemy combatant by a combatant status review tribunal or other competent tribunal established under the authority of the President or the Secretary of Defense. So, they're really talking about, people that are engaged in terroristic, I would think. That's how I read that. So, and then he says, reread the executive orders put together. Well, what were the executive orders? Well, there's been two of them recently. December 21st, of course, was the executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. And then the January 30th executive order was to extend Gitmo, like not close it down, but to further. Oh, let me see the news article. I was trying to skip it, but now I can't remember exactly how they had it worded. Yeah, to keep it open, basically. Donald Trump signs executive order to keep Guantanamo Bay open. And one would assume that there's a reason for needing it to stay open, right? So perhaps, now Q told us, and I say he, but understand, I understand that it's a team, and it probably does include women as well. I'm just saying he because I don't know who it is. So if we put these together, perhaps it's these people, the ones that they've been involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption, and we know that there's probably going to be a lot of those indicted in the near future. And so where are they going to go? Maybe that's why he needs Guantanamo Bay open. I don't know, but he said reread the EOs put together. So that's what I would put together. They're enemy combatants. So if you have any other interpretations, please, you're welcome to leave them. I always welcome comments, and most of the time I even leave the negative comments unless they're just really rude and obnoxious. So now we're getting into something else that's really interesting. Now Q posts this: helicopter, period, crash, period, Newport Beach, period, hotel, GM, period. What happened at those hotels? Q. So, I think we've all heard about the crash in Newport Beach. It involved the general manager of the Standard Hotel in West Hollywood, and there's a connection to Adam Schiff. So we're going to be looking at this because, boy, there's some interesting stuff here. So, first of all, we'll go out here and just look at the news about this crash. And I'm going to let this play, actually. Or maybe I'm not. Oh, yes, I am.
Crews worked most of the day to shore up this house, board the house, cover the roof. They also were cleaning the street, removing the fuel that was left behind on the ground from that helicopter. Now, there was a woman inside this house alone when that helicopter came down. We spoke to her husband. He didn't want to go on camera, but he tells us his wife is still very shaken up, as are the many neighbors who witnessed that wreckage.
Our neighbors that we're really friendly with here, she saw it come over in slow motion, said she saw the tail thing hit the top of the house, and it was pretty scary.
The pilot and 3 passengers had just taken off from John Wayne Airport on their way to Catalina. A short time later, the helicopter went down, hitting 2 rooftops in a quiet gated community, then slamming into this home.
One of the neighbors here, who I know from walking my dog, she said, I saw the whole thing. She said the thing was coming in low, and all of a sudden the rotors just stopped, and it just fell out of the sky.
Authorities identified the victims today. The pilot, 60-year-old Joseph Tenna of Newport Beach, died along with 2 passengers, 45-year-old Kimberly Wattsman of Santa Monica and 56-year-old Brian Reichelt of Hollywood, Florida. The 4th person on board survived and is in the hospital.
Shortly after takeoff, something happened. We do not have any distress calls from the pilot of the helicopter.
Investigators say the debris field is about 100 feet in length. It could mean pieces were coming off before it hit the ground, but NTSB officials won't comment on that today. The mangled wreckage of the helicopter was removed from the scene this afternoon. Investigators will now search through it.
We're going to continue looking at the machine, going through the helicopter, all the major systems and components of the helicopter, and also looking into the pilot's history, medical background, flight times, etc. And we're also going to be looking at the environment, weather, wind, and so forth.
For residents who live near the flight path at John Wayne Airport, this has always been a concern.
Every time I go around that corner, I'm going to have to think hard about, do I come by and leave a flower or 2 there?
Well, that kind of, hang on here, that's kind of, I just wanted to kind of, in case you hadn't heard it, to show you the story. And if you'll notice, or if you noticed, the rotors just stopped. Now, I've been around a helicopter, well, many times, and one thing I do know is that after the helicopter lands and they switch it off, those rotors actually look like they keep spinning because of the, whatever, the momentum, I guess. And for a minute, you can't even tell that they've been shut off. So it's odd that he said, well, the rotors just stopped. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading more into that, but I mean, we obviously know that this is odd. So, and Q obviously thinks so, and we're going to get into why. Now, the hotel general manager was Kimberly Lynn Wattsman, and so let's and what happened at these hotels? What didn't happen? And that's the truth. Let me tell you. We've got all sorts of ugly stuff, ugly, ties into Pizzagate. Okay, now, interestingly enough, who's district do you think that this fell into? Why, Adam Schiff. California's 28th Congressional District is a congressional district in the U.S. state of California in Los Angeles County. The district is currently represented by Democrat Adam Schiff. Well, imagine that. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Just a coincidence. But wait. What about this? I guess there was like a huge pedophile bust that took place there too, and apparently Schiff knew about it but did nothing. And also, the Standard Hotel is in the 28th district as well. And now let's go take a look at the Standard Hotel, a nice family-friendly environment here, just like Comet Pizza. Now, we're going to be jumping around a little bit because their website is it's a little weird. Okay, this is it. Nothing's too weird so far, except we see, you know, a person in a bear costume here, and we see the artist, Trance-Inducing Mural comes to the Standard, downtown LA, and it's filled with a lot of symbolism and mysticism and so forth. Of course, we got the eyes, and yeah. Thought her first name was interesting too, Karis. Reminds me of, oh gosh, I've seen that before. Okay, somewhere. Now, the rooms, okay, nothing, you know, nothing that unusual yet until we get to the paddle room. Well, what's this? Looky here. Our fully decked out ping pong club. Huh. And then we have what I assumed was a girl, but it's not. It's a man, and you can tell by the hairy arms, and there's no chest, and the paddle in front of the genitalia, and red nail polish, so this is a homosexual male. And look at this symbol. Remember from Comet Ping Pong what this symbol means for pedophilia, boy love, I believe, is what this one represented. And someone correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I looked into Comet Ping Pong. Let's see the details. I actually haven't been here yet. Okay, so this is the paddle room. Does that look like I mean, there's a fully stocked bar there. Doesn't look like there'd be, you know, it would appeal to kids. So, and then we have this little picture of a girl that she does not look of age to me at all. And we got a guy here with a bear costume on his head, a bear mask on his head. It's whatever floats your boat. And what else is here? Culture. And I'm just kind of going through. I looked at some of this and some of it I didn't. But apparently this hotel has been linked to all sorts of interesting things. And there's 3 of them. There's one in New York. And the one in New York, apparently, okay, there's a dog with a blue tongue. Well, you know, I guess that's important. I don't know. These are the events. Hard to read, masculinity, hump day, Paloma's birthday and launch party. Okay. Anyway, that's enough of that. But apparently the one in Los Angeles, or in New York City, encourages people to have sex in the windows because it looks out over a park, and that way people can have a little peep show. And there's all sorts of things with this hotel being tied to. There's been 3 deaths there. One was a girl that jumped to her death, and that was not that long ago. Actually, it was in December, like our last December of 2017. And she jumped. Nobody seems to know where she jumped from. They just said an upper floor. Well, how can you not know where she jumped from? If she jumped out of a window, the window would be open, right? Unless, it was a balcony, nobody saw it. But come on, don't they have cameras on that building? They have to. They have to. Like, in a place that dense and that crowded, you would think that there would be cameras everywhere. And I don't know, but nobody knows where she fell from, and they don't know if she fell from the rooftop or if she fell from one of the upper floors. And then the same thing happened to a guy last year, and he fell apparently from the rooftop, but of course nobody saw that either. So, and then there was another death there. I guess a young black man shot into the crowd and killed someone. Now, that was just outside the hotel. Now, of course, that may not be related to anything. And maybe these 2 suicides are unrelated to anything, but it's strange. So, now, the guy that formerly owned this, he still retains 20% interest in the hotel. This is him, Andre Balas, and owner of Standard Hotel, but now I think he only has a 20% share now. And there he is with Marina Abramovic. And you can remember her from the Podestas and Spirit Cooking, right? And then apparently this Andre Balas groped Jason Bateman's wife, and there are, all sorts of, I guess he's been charged with assault. So, yeah, so there's that. Now, there's so much to look at. I'm not going to go out to every single thing. We don't need to know all the juicy details about him groping Jason Bateman's wife. If you want to know more about that, you can look it up on Google. And yeah, somebody even mentioned that even their logo is a joke about overturning social standards, because the word standard in the hotel is upside down and backwards, but I don't think that that's what that is saying at all, because anyone in those circles knows that anything backwards and upside down mirrored like that is a sign of Satanism. That's well known. So I don't know. They may explain it by saying, oh, we're trying to turn standards upside down, but I don't personally believe that. Now, former hotel manager Kim Watsman died in the helicopter crash today, as mentioned by Q. The Standard hotels have a history of orgies, drugs, and yes, mysterious suicides. 3, at least, in the past 4 years. A few years ago, orgies took place at the Standard Hotel in New York City. Just 2 months ago, the Standard Hotel in West Hollywood started selling pot on its premises. Look for marijuana shop to open in West Hollywood Standard Hotel. So there's some things about the Standard. And let's see, because here's something very interesting, okay? And we're just looking at this stuff. I'm not saying that this is like, that Adam Schiff is absolutely, I'm just saying it's interesting. Now, I think WeHo or WeHo stands for West Hollywood, and probably people that live there are laughing at me right now. Now, there was allegations in the death of a sex worker, and it says, allegations in death of sex worker plague influential West Hollywood political insider. Now, who is this political insider? Well, it's this guy right here. And we have these pictures of him because this guy, who is a sex worker, took these photos when he was at his house. Now, who is he? Well, there we have him with, who's this guy? Adam Schiff. Huh. In the weeks since news outlets across the globe picked up a story, Weho, I guess, Times broke last Monday about the death of a 26-year-old Texas youth at the home of a politically influential West Hollywood resident. A disturbing picture began emerging of a man who, evidence suggests, is equally comfortable mixing among America's uppermost echelon citizenry as he is rattling the nerves of sex workers by way of alleged coercion, heaps of cash, piles of illicit drugs, and allegedly involuntary injections of methamphetamine. Now, he is a huge donor. And a donor to who? Well, to Adam Schiff. Well, isn't that interesting? Well, as a matter of fact, it is. A growing mountain of evidence obtained by, maybe it's WeHo Times, I wish I knew how to pronounce that, including multiple eyewitness accounts, smartphone images, background interviews, on-the-record interviews, court documents, hospital bills, and text messages reveal a pattern that depicts a well-heeled politico named Ed Buck as a man with a history of allegations that he pays young, good-looking African-American men anywhere from $500 to $3,500 to inject, smoke, or otherwise ingest potentially fatal doses of crystal methamphetamine and GHB during allegedly paid sexual encounters. But the sex takes a backseat to Buck's alleged primary fetish, according to several sources who say his first interest is getting young black men to take dangerously large doses of street drugs. So what this guy does is he pays these men and he invites them over for sex, but their payment is based on how much drugs they will inject, or either ingest or inject. However, what has happened, and what happened to one guy that escaped, is he woke up from whatever, and here was this guy injecting more drugs, like I don't know if it was a lethal dose, but it was a large dose of something into him. So, so this guy, the guy that he's taught this, I think it's this guy. This is not the dead guy. This is a guy that is testifying that this is what happened to him there, and he escaped. And he said, my situation with Ed Buck was always, how long do you want to see me for? And we'll come up with a number that we both can agree on, said a 28-year-old part-time sex worker who asked to be identified by the alias Damar Love to protect his full-time job as a security guard. When I got there, I always want my money up front, and that's how it always started. Love told WeHo Times during an interview Saturday, initially when I got there, I understood that he was already well under the influence because he told me he had already been up for 2 days and was still doing drugs as far as liquid GHB, shooting meth, crystal meth, and smoking it. When he insisted that I get high and continue to get high, that's when I started to do my research on him. Damar Love believes that Buck was unaccustomed to his level of concern for his own safety as a potentially vulnerable sex worker in another man's home environment. Buck, he says, did not like his unwillingness to turn off his smartphone, which he used to ensure his girlfriend knew where he was, nor did Buck like him using the phone to shoot photos inside the apartment. He didn't know the young man was also using his smartphone to research his host a little before letting his guard down. Says Love, the money Buck paid was incredibly good, but the scene was unsettling. I was like, why are you insisting that I be high? He said, recalling his thoughts during the first of the 3 visits he said he made to Buck's apartment. Indeed, WeHo Times has confirmed that the photos of Love in his underwear were taken inside Ed Buck's apartment in West Hollywood. Okay, yeah, those are a little graphic, and I apologize for that. Why are you insisting I shut my phone off and I don't have any contact with the outside world when I'm here with you alone in your place? Love continued. At that moment, I knew it was time to forget about pleasing the client and start asking questions for my personal safety. That's when I wanted to know what he did for a living, and when I wanted him to know that I had people who knew where I was. Damar Love said he has never seen anyone as intoxicated as Buck allegedly was during that first encounter. And he does look definitely wasted. And so I'm not going to, go through all this. He basically, this guy got out of the apartment, and I think it was, let me see, when he woke up and he was trying to inject something in him. So he got out, but there's other allegations of this guy having a violent temper and requests for restraining orders. But he does have connections to Schiff. Now, how close connections they have, I don't know. But there was this man died there, and he died of a drug overdose. And so the question was, because this other guy was saying, well, he was injecting me against my will, so did he do the same to this guy and the guy didn't make it? So I would assume yes, because he somehow gets off on injecting them with large amounts of drugs before having sex with them. So I don't know. But he's a weird dude, I can tell you that much. So just more things to think about. Perhaps, and here is this is the guy that died. Gramel Moore was his name, and he died in this guy's home, Democratic donor. Home was littered with drug paraphernalia after man died. But there are names in this report that are redacted, and it would be interesting to know. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a long shot, but you never know who was there. So, let's go back, see what other stuff we have here. I guess that's it for the hotels and all that stuff, but gosh, it looks like there's some really bad things that go on, and this hotel definitely has a reputation for such. So there's something there, because Q is telling us there's something here. And he's saying, what happened at those hotels? Well, something must have happened. And, I mean, they're known, apparently these hotels, the standard hotels, are known for their sex parties and orgies and blah, blah, blah. And the ping pong there makes a strong suggestion that there's other things involved. Now, January 31st, an anonymous user posts on the 8chan, I'm guessing that the Freedom Statue and Freedom Day have to do with the Q stringers for freedom. And Q responds, news unlocks map. So I will admit, I don't exactly know what Q is saying about this freedom and it unlocking the map. Like, that's not really a reply as far as I'm concerned, but that was the reply that he gave to this person. So I guess we'll have to wait. Now, January 31st, an anonymous user writes, Wattsman was the general manager of the Standard Hotel in West Hollywood. She had worked for the company for nearly 11 years. And this is, I'm not going to go out to here. It's just another story about the crash. So Q responds to that. What happened at hotel? Okay, now here's the clue. He puts in brackets, AS, Adam Schiff. Something happened at that hotel that involves Adam Schiff. What is Adam Schiff attempting right now? Well, he's attempting to block the release of the memo, or at least to spin the memo and say that it was altered. And so it's not any good now because it's been altered. And then Q says, favor repaid, period. He's not asking a question. He's telling us, favor repaid. A favor to someone named in memo? Someone connected to something that happened at the Standard Hotel? Like, I don't get it yet. And I'll say I don't get it. Something happened at the hotel, and it has to do with Adam Schiff. What is Adam Schiff attempting to do right now? So is he doing this, trying to block the memo as payment for someone to keep quiet about what happened at the hotel? Favor repaid. I don't know. But these are the news articles about the people that, this one about the woman that jumped from the hotel, this one about the man, and this about the fatal shooting. Interesting how they have surveillance footage in the fatal shooting, but they don't for the two people that jumped. They have no idea where they jumped from. Don't you find that odd? I find it odd. Anyway, I'm just saying. I don't think I need to go out here. If you Google the Standard Hotel deaths, you'll get these if you want to go into them further depth. But I'm trying to cut these videos down a bit because it's tough on you guys trying to listen to it all. It's tough on me too. So anyway, but when there's stuff that I really actually have to cover and I feel is very important, I will. Now. Anonymous user again posts same incident with Adam, and he calls him Adam shit, happened at a hotel and was covered up. He is repaying the favor by trying to cover this up. Anons, we are looking for a death cover-up of Adam Schiff's doing. Now, Q responds to that, and he doesn't correct them, which I find interesting. So I would say that's the interpretation, because you would think that Q would correct this person if they were wrong. But he adds to that and he says how they control those they need. And what he's talking about here is they blackmail them. Like if Adam did something, if Adam Schiff did something at that hotel with maybe somebody underage or some young boys or whatever, they probably have that tape. They probably have that, and they're blackmailing him. And they say, you do this, we won't release this. Because that's what they do. That happens all the time. So I think that, Q is explaining to us, that's how they control those they need. They need Adam Schiff because they need somebody to change the narrative, right? They don't want that memo released. So they have something on him that he did or committed at that hotel. And Q is telling us that's just one recent example. Relevant today, learn Q. So I think that's what's going on with Adam Schiff. I think he's being blackmailed. And it probably has something to do with an action that took place at that hotel by himself and whoever else. Now, whether it has anything to do with those murders or whether it has to do with sex with an underage or trafficking or whatever, I don't know. And I don't think any of us know. At this point, perhaps we will. Now, then, an anonymous user says, pedo ring, human trafficking at hotel, Adam Schiff's district. He knew he's trying to cut a deal because he knows he's grass. Now, Q responds to that and says, the intel just dropped is bigger than you can imagine. So Q doesn't correct this person either, which is interesting. because this person's saying pedo ring, human trafficking at hotel. And Q is just responding, oh, it's bigger than you can imagine. You're thinking too small. So, yikes. Like really, double yikes. Now, January 31st, he writes, Freedom Day, period, freedom, _Q. Now, let's go up to the next post, and that is January 31st. And he says, effective yesterday, while standing under the Statue of Freedom, POTUS freed those good people who are currently being blackmailed, threatened, and enslaved. Those who stood chanting USA were freed. The shot heard round the world. TG, forward, and I think that's Trey Gowdy. We the people, Freedom Day, light, Q. I'm a little bit confused here because I don't know what he means by while standing under the Statue of Freedom, POTUS freed those good people who are currently being blackmailed, threatened, and enslaved. I don't know, maybe I'm trying to read too much into this. I would be interested in your interpretations of what you think he means by this. I mean, of course, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to free us from those that have really kept us as slaves, all of us. And, and I see him as doing that, or at least attempting to. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I keep clearing my throat. I don't know, I've got a large barn animal in there. Okay, now, on February 1st, and this is after the accident and so forth, Q writes, POTUS is safe, protected by patriots, Q. So, in order to say POTUS is safe, protected by patriots, there must have been some reason to wonder, and I would assume that that's because of the train crash. Now, actually, wait, that was Q, and no, okay, I'm right. Now, so, an anonymous user, actually, I missed this. I should have went to this one first before I went to that one above, but an anonymous user on January 31st said, despite the terrible train wreck en route, congressional GOP got to their retreat safely at Greenbrier Resort, coincidentally the site a massive underground bunker emergency shelter for the U.S. Congress built during the Cold War, codename Project Greek Island. And Vice President Mike Pence, a joy to be back at the House and Senate retreat with the men and women who helped make 2017 the most accomplished year of the conservative agenda in 30 years. So then, Q posts that the POTUS is safe and protected by patriots, Q. Now, this is a big one, and this is posted by an anonymous user, and he says, obviously the train slowed down, so must have been warned. I think it was warned. Helicopter surveillance saw the truck and warned the engineer. I'm guessing truck was kitty corner because the crossbucks with the back end dumpster lift, hydraulics boom, facing the oncoming train. Train hits boom, spins truck around and rips body off the cab, leaving the cab at the crossing. Train drags truck body down the tracks until the body rolls off down the embankment. Question is, if truck tried to run crossing, why didn't occupants flee cab when getting stuck unless train hit the truck just as it was trying to run the crossing? Have to figure, though, if aerial surveillance sees truck and warns engineer, the truck had to have been there for a while, so why didn't occupants flee? If the truck was there as a plant, the only sense I can make of it is the occupants were patsies. They were told they were only going to force the train to stop on the idea of an Antifa protest. I don't think surveillance would see a truck headed toward the crossing and tell the engineer to brake, assuming the truck would stop on the tracks. However, it could be that access road was closed and any traffic was regarded as a danger. Key is, how fast does an Amtrak train usually go through there? And how fast was this one going? If the train was slower, then why? And I think that article that I read first kind of answered all these questions. So I think that this is kind of a moot point. But then Q responds and says, drone. Reread crumbs. Q. Now, drone. Was it a drone that shut down the truck? Was it a drone that shut down the brakes of the train? Was it a drone that drove the truck to the tracks? Like, how did the truck get there if it was being guarded? And we know it was being guarded because these Republicans were fleeing from something. So, I don't know. It's all very strange. All very strange indeed. Now, he then, this one refers to one above, so let me get to that first. And I think that is the last post. It is. That's the last post from today. Let me check. Yep. So this was posted by an anonymous user, and it's from the Daily Caller. It's just a little picture here. It says, Hamas co-founder dies after accidentally shooting himself in the face. Well, that's unfortunate for him. And then below it says, a co-founder of, let me make this a little bigger for you guys on your phones. Okay, a co-founder of Hamas died Tuesday, 3 weeks after shooting himself in the face while looking down the barrel of a gun he was cleaning. Do you not think the co-founder of Hamas would know how to clean a gun and know better than to look down the barrel of a loaded gun? Are you kidding me? Anyway, let's continue. Ahmad al-Alami was examining his personal weapon in his home January 9th when he accidentally pulled the trigger and put a bullet in his head. Oh gosh, I hate when that happens. Hamas said Tuesday night in a statement to the Associated Press. No, I really hate that. I butcher things, and I'm I don't know. I don't know. I've given up on myself for tonight, but let me finish here. Helped found the Gaza-based Palestinian group during the mid-1980s. The U.S., Israel, and European Union and others consider Hamas a terrorist organization responsible for waging several wars against, and that's where it shuts off. So, and this person says, karma is a bitch. Well, as soon as I read that, I thought, that wasn't any karma. No, like, this guy knows how to clean his gun. Come on. Like, seriously. Now, Q responds to that and says, Klaus Eberwein. Now, that name sounds familiar, and it certainly did to me. And so I went out to look at the link, and then I thought immediately, oh, yeah, of course. So let's take a look at that, and that is the last of these posts. Let's look at who this is. None of us will be surprised. A shame to kill such a nice-looking young man, too, but it's awful. Klaus Eberwein, former head of Haitian Government Development Agency, was found dead Tuesday, July 11th, in a Miami area hotel with a gunshot wound to his head. His death has been ruled as suicide. Now, where do you think that he was going? What do you think he was going to do the next day or that week? I think it was the next day, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it says in here, maybe it doesn't. Well, he was about to testify against the Clintons. Does that surprise you? Of course, the Miami Herald doesn't say that. But Yeah. So what's Q telling us? Because this person's bringing up this person's death. This guy that killed himself cleaning his gun. Yeah. Now, this is how I interpret this. It's one of two ways. Either this anonymous user is saying, yeah, karma's a bitch. His words, not mine. And Q is saying, yeah, well, that's the karma that you get for killing, this guy. But is he saying that this guy killed Eberwein? Is that what he's saying? Klaus Eberwein. Is he saying that the two are related? Obviously, in some way. So, interesting. And, like, Q usually will drop a few crumbs and just get your appetite wet a little bit, and then he'll drop a little bit more and a little bit more. So I'm expecting that we'll be revisiting this stuff in later Q posts. But tomorrow, as far as I know, is the big day for the release. So who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, and who knows if there's going to be any more false flags, or if there's going to be any more like incidents, like train accidents. I don't know. At this point, nothing surprises me, and it's literally anything goes. So I guess we'll have to wait till then to see. But I do pray that everyone is safe and stays safe during this until all this stuff is dealt with. And anyway, I'm sure that I'll be talking to you guys tomorrow, because if it's released, I'm going to be going over it immediately. And if not, there may be more Q posts. So anyway, I will let that be it for tonight, and I will go and get some sleep, which I very much need. So I'll talk to you guys later, and I hope you have a good night too. Bye-bye.